Hi. Happy Wednesday. There's a lot of people that I see are online right now, so we'll see if anyone pops on and wants to engage in a little bit of breath coaching here in the middle of a work day. Hey, Jess. So what we're doing is I am interested in hearing what you guys are struggling with, right this moment, whether it's with a child or a job task, or maybe you're listening to me while you're driving and you're struggling with the driver or the traffic or whatever the case may be. I want to share with you that it's possible to get through whatever it is that you're going through with breath work. So I've been working here all weekend. I'm in Virginia at our soon-to-be retreat house, and I got stuck. I got stuck on some things: procrastination, worry, powerlessness. And I thought, how many of us out there in the world are struggling right now with something? I cannot be the only one. So I would love to hear, what it is that you could use a little breath work to help you through. Breath has been a powerful resource for me, as many of you know, and it has helped me through. Hey, Vicki. Oh, Jess, or your other half brought a random dog home and she keeps escaping to go on ventures. Her hound nose keeps her busy. So yeah. And significant others do things that we don't really want them to do, right? And they go outside our comfort zone and make us feel a little trapped. So how can breath help us with the expectation of others, right? How can breath help us with the expectation of others? Well, it helps us to get present with ourselves. So significant other brought a dog home, and I didn't want that. I didn't like that. I'm not okay with that. So what is it that's showing up for me that makes that challenging? So Jess, I invite you to go into your breath, go inward, and take 5 conscious breaths. Doesn't matter the speed or the volume, just conscious breaths. And everyone else can join along with us. That's 3. 4. 5. So now that we have our own attention, let's ask ourselves, when someone or something does something that we don't particularly agree with, or that we don't feel comfortable with, it usually creates this charge of disgust and frustration and overwhelm, because now there's this thing that we need to deal with that we don't want to deal with. So when we get present and we take our breath inward, we take our awareness inward and settle into how we feel, I ask you that question. How is it that you're feeling on the inside now that this thing is developing a frustration with you? What's really showing up for you? And for me, it's not getting my own way. I didn't want the damn dog in the house. I didn't want a dog, period. But that wasn't my thing, right? That wasn't my decision. It just kind of happened. So it's about getting present with what our current situation is, rather than trying to be somewhere other than where we are. And guys, that's like one of the top, yes, I do not want added responsibility. Yes. That is one of the biggest things that we struggle with, is now this person has done this to me and now it's my responsibility to take care of it. So if we take a breath into that, I didn't want the added responsibility. So what is the truth? What is to thine own self be true that I can actually speak to my partner from a place of honor and trust and confidence to actually say what I'm feeling? And every time I ask a question, whether of myself or to you, I always take that moment to pause. And I take that breath, conscious breath. It takes me out of emotion. It takes me out of, God damn, I don't want to do it this way. I'm frustrated. It takes me out of that violent kind of inner emotional attack that I'm having on myself. Because that person, whoever it is that did that thing to us, they're not feeling any pain, right? Who's feeling the pain? We're feeling the pain. We're feeling the suffering. We're feeling the light up in the ears. Your ears are getting hot. Your chest is getting tight. And your breath is changing. Check in with your breath. Are you breathing faster? Are you breathing harder? Are you breathing more shallow? And that's where this all stems from. Is like, okay, I've recognized what my frustration is. Now how am I breathing with it? And that's the powerful piece of all of this, that once we can identify the breath, then we can start to change it. So what do I have control of in this situation? The dog's already in the house. The situation's already happening. I can't make that part change, but what I can change is my response to it. I can change how I show up to it. I can change how I show up to my partner, how I speak my truth, how I find my voice in the whole matter. Because sitting back and retreating into, I don't want this, doesn't do us any good. So I invite you yet again, take another breath. Take a conscious breath. Take a present breath. And breathe down into the piece of the body that you feel that frustration. Breathe down into the very finite, detailed part of you that feels like, no, this is not okay with me. And breathe into that. And when I say breathe into that, I literally mean use your attention and your awareness and put that awareness on that part of your body that feels restricted, that feels tight, that feels tense, overwhelmed. So if I think about someone doing something to me that I didn't want, or doing something in my presence that I didn't want, I actually feel it right here. I get that frustrating pressure right here in the depth of my throat. Almost like I want to scream in frustration. So I breathe there. And on my exhale, I soften. And I tune out of my mind my reasoning. And just keep focusing on the body. Keep focusing on the body. Keep focusing on the body. Breathe. Now, trust me, this isn't going to change your situation immediately. This isn't going to, lessen the responsibility. This isn't going to remove the dog from the house, right? But what it is it's honoring yourself and your feelings. It's honoring the fact that I'm frustrated. And I can feel into my body that I'm frustrated. We're always trying to be somewhere other than where we are. If we're happy, we want to be more happy. If we're frustrated, we want to not be frustrated. If we're sad, we don't want to be sad anymore. We're always wanting to be somewhere other than where we are. What if we just sat where we are? What if we just sat in the pain of, damn, I don't want this. I don't want this responsibility. I don't want that. Take a breath. Now, what do you want? I want communication. I want someone to ask me what I feel. I want somebody to ask me, is this okay? All right. So now how are we not offering that to the universe? What is it about that person that stands in front of us that doesn't know that we want that? So what would that sound like? What would that look like if I were now to use this experience of that frustration, use this experience of that thing that I don't want that happened to me, and now what if we use that as an opportunity, as this life lesson for ourselves? So what do I have to do? What is my responsibility to show up, to make it known what is okay and what's not okay in my world? And what that would sound like for me would be, honey, I really appreciate that you brought home this loving creature. However, I would like to talk about it, and I would like to share my experience. I would like to share what's showing up for me. And what I feel is I don't have time, I don't have space, I don't have the opportunity to take care of something more, another thing in the house. So how can we show up to this together? In what ways can you help me take care of this little creature in our house? Now take a breath. And maybe that wasn't the exact right thing to say, or maybe that wasn't what you would have said, but we start to honor ourselves. And we start to be true to what we need. And what we need, they don't know. The other person doesn't know what we need if we don't say it. And maybe we've said it 1,000 times and they didn't hear us. And that's a whole different episode for male and female species and communication differences. Thanks, Vicki. Sending you lots of love. I'm glad that I could help. So guys, what my point here is today, and I want to say, Jess, thank you so much for offering out that piece so that we can start to live and breathe and understand our responsibility together, is that when other people do dumb things in our mind, dumb things that create more work, more havoc, more frustration on our life, it is not our responsibility to attack the other for that reason. It is our responsibility to sit back and to take a breath and to breathe into what's really showing up for us. What is really showing up? It's not about the dog. It's not about the dishes. It's not about the lint. It's about something inside of us that's not sitting right, that's not okay. And in that case, what it feels like for me is that it's not okay that you didn't ask my opinion. So how do I make it known to the other that my opinion is important? How do I make that known? Because when I stand up for myself, then that gives me the confidence and the aura that the other person realizes that I mean business. And it all started with a single breath. So I hope that helps today. Jess, send me a message. Let me know what you're thinking. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. That can be frustrating. That can be really frustrating when someone else does something and they don't ask us our opinion, or they don't collaborate or consult with us. We feel attacked. We feel not listened to. We feel taken advantage of. Those are all valid feelings. But then again, it's our responsibility to make it right for ourselves. So we need to be heard. We need to share our expression, and we do it all from the place of breath, from presence, because you take out the emotional piece of it, you take out the vulnerability piece of it, and you start to speak with intention and with purpose, instead of just out of fear and sadness or frustration. So as a summary, remember to always take a breath, conscious breath, before you respond. And when you're braced with a concern, a question, a frustration, or an expectation, and from there ask yourself, what's showing up for me? What is it for me that this is not okay? And then find those I statements, and then go back to that partner and go back to that person. And again, take another breath. Keep taking those conscious breaths. Keep coming back to you. Don't give them the power. Come back to you. And then share with them what it is that you're going to allow in your space. And share with it what you're not going to allow in your space. So, sending you all love. Jessica, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that piece with us. And I hope that helped a little bit. Sending all love and blessings on this Wednesday afternoon. Mwah.